The vast trade lanes of the rim shone in threads of pale light as the cruiser Radiance of Dawn drifted through them. Among its crew moved one who carried a quiet sorrow, an alien woman named Lyra, who served as chief navigator. Her species possessed features marked by slender frames, luminous eyes, and gentle ridges across the temples that signaled emotion more clearly than any spoken language. Lyra had always held her composure with the precision of a professional navigator until the day she lost the one she loved. That loss had created an ache the stars could not ease. The crew respected her grief, yet rarely spoke of it because every ridge on her temples dimmed whenever she heard certain words or passing mentions of Earth or its people. Some memories for her were too sharp to touch. Her lover, a human named Aiden, had vanished during a relief mission 2 cycles earlier, when the outpost they served was consumed by an unexplained flare in a nearby nebula. Official reports marked him as lost. Lyra had never accepted that report, even while she forced herself to continue forward. As the Radiance of Dawn glided through another nav corridor, Lyra worked quietly at the main chart table. Her fingers drifted across the holographic lanes with instinctive skill, but her mind wandered toward memories she had tried to bury. She remembered the warmth in Aiden's voice, the way he approached every crisis with determination, and the way he saw her as if she were not strange or distant, but entirely familiar. Humans, she once told him, were reckless. He had laughed and responded that reckless hearts made the best promises. Now she wished he were still here to make foolish promises again. The captain of the Radiance of Dawn, a steady man named Orion, approached her station. He observed her for a moment. He respected Lyra deeply because she had guided the cruiser safely through countless regions where other crews faltered. Yet he had never figured out how to ease her sorrow. "Lyra," he said, keeping his tone gentle, "a transmission just came through. It is marked with an unusual Earth signature. Could you look at it?" Her hand paused. The light along her temples flickered. "Earth signature," she repeated. "From where?" "A point near the old nebula front. The same region where the disappearance occurred. Our relay I insists it is genuine." Lyra forced her breath steady. Many false signals had crossed that region before. Many scavengers used old Earth encryption because it frightened rivals. She refused to hope too quickly. "I will examine it," she said. She followed the captain to the con deck, where a small holoscreen shimmered. The crew nearby paused their work out of respect for her. Everyone knew what that region meant to her. The captain activated the file. A burst of static flickered and resolved into a faint voice. Lyra felt her breath halt. The voice was unmistakable. "This is Aiden calling any allied ship," the recording said. "If this reaches Lyra or anyone from the Radiance of Dawn, know that I am alive. My ship was caught in the flare, but I survived in a protected chamber. I have spent 2 cycles scavenging equipment to rebuild a beacon. I am still stranded, but I am holding on. I will not give up." The recording ended. Silence filled the room, as if even the machinery respected the moment. The ridges along Lyra's temples brightened faintly, then pulsed again as she tried to steady herself. The captain placed a hand on her shoulder. "It seems he lived," Orion said. Lyra could not speak. The energy around her rose in trembling waves until she forced her composure into place. She inhaled slowly. "Set course for the origin point," she said. "Immediately." The crew responded at once. Orders moved through the decks. Engines hummed. The Radiance of Dawn swung toward the nebula front with a determination that seemed to belong to its entire crew. While the ship accelerated, Lyra stood alone at the observation deck. She stared at the stars streaking past, as if each one carried fragments of her old memories. She remembered the final moments before the disaster. Aiden had pushed her toward the escape craft and demanded she flee because the nebula flare was rising too quickly. She had resisted, but he had insisted with that stubborn courage humans carried so naturally. She had looked at him one last time before the escape craft sealed. She had watched the outpost shatter in a blaze of color. For 2 cycles she believed the blaze had taken him. Now she whispered softly into the quiet deck. "Aiden, hold on." The radiance of dawn entered the nebula region within hours. The clouds swirled in vibrant hues of violet and crimson. Strange electric arcs crackled across the void. The nebula still carried turbulence that unsettled the hull, yet Lyra felt none of the anxiety she once had. All she felt was urgency. The sensor officer called out. "We found a faint distress beacon directly ahead." "Bring us closer," Lyra ordered before the captain could speak. He did not object. They approached a fragment of old station architecture drifting alone. Debris orbited it quietly, as if frozen in respectful vigil. Nestled against the broken structure was a survival pod. "That pod is human design," the engineer observed. The captain gave a nod. "Prepare retrieval." A shuttle team departed. Lyra insisted on joining, although protocol advised otherwise. The captain attempted to dissuade her, but one look at her face ended the conversation. They reached the pod. Its door showed signs of improvised repairs. Tools scavenged from wreckage had been attached in desperate configurations. Survival indicators still flickered. Lyra stood before the door as the engineer triggered the manual override. The door slid open. Inside sat Aiden, thinner than before, covered in dust from the nebula residue, but unmistakably alive. He looked up. When he saw Lyra standing at the threshold, the breath escaped him. "Lyra," he said. Her body trembled. The ridges across her temples glowed in patterns of overwhelming emotion. She stepped forward as if drawn by gravity. No words formed quickly enough. Emotion surged through her like a wave. "You are alive?" she said softly. Aiden smiled even through exhaustion. "I told you I am stubborn." She reached out and touched his cheek exactly as she used to. For cycles she had imagined this moment. She had imagined he would be a fading memory, yet here he stood in front of her. Her chest tightened. She leaned her forehead against his gently. Her people expressed deepest emotion through this gesture, and he remembered to hold still for her. The shuttle team allowed them a moment. A captain watched with quiet satisfaction. Even in the harshest corners of the galaxy, hope could still return. Aiden was brought aboard the Radiance of Dawn and taken to the medical bay. Lyra remained by his side as the med crew examined him. He had endured harsh conditions yet survived through sheer perseverance. Humans, the crew whispered, were astonishing in their resilience. It was no surprise to them that one human had endured what few others could. While the med team worked, Aiden reached out and caught Lyra's hand. His voice was faint but steady. "I did not think I would see another face again. Every time I worked on the beacon, I thought of you. I did not have much left, but that thought kept me moving." Lyra held his hand carefully. "I never accepted that you were gone. Even when reports insisted you were lost, something inside me refused to believe it." He laughed softly, though the sound carried fatigue. "You always had better instincts than the rest of us. You always refused to listen when I gave you warnings," she replied. And for the first time in 2 cycles, her voice carried gentle humor. The med crew recorded his condition and allowed him to rest. Lyra remained beside him in a chair. It was only when he finally slept that she allowed her composure to fall away. Tears formed gently along the edges of her bright eyes. Her people did not cry often, but when emotion overflowed, there was no other response. She covered her mouth and breathed slowly as the reality settled in. He lived. Against everything he lived. The crew of the Radiance of Dawn visited the med bay throughout the following hours, offering greetings and relief. They had admired Aiden's bravery, even before his disappearance. Many told him how Lyra had worked tirelessly in their missions, despite her grief. He listened quietly and squeezed her hand whenever he sensed her discomfort. Later, the captain met them privately in his quarters. He placed a small device on the table. "This was recovered from the old outpost," the captain said. "It appears to be a module containing partial recordings of your last mission." Aiden nodded. "I kept hoping something like that survived." Lyra asked, "What will you do now?" Aiden smiled at her. "Stay alive first. After that, we will decide together." "This cruiser has room for both of you," the captain said. "You are welcome to remain with us." Aiden looked at Lyra. "What do you want?" Lyra answered without hesitation. "I want to remain by your side. That is all I wanted even before the disaster." Aiden reached across the table and placed his hand gently over hers. "Then that is what we will do." The radiance of dawn left the nebula region behind. As the ship resumed its journey through the rim lanes, the crew sensed a shift in the air. Lyra moved through the decks with renewed strength. Aiden contributed to repairs and training with the same determination that had kept him alive. Together, they restored a sense of balance on board. One evening they stood together on the observation deck. Stars drifted past in long, luminous trails. Aiden glanced at Lyra. "I had imagined seeing you again, but I thought it would be a dream caused by exhaustion." She answered, "When I listened to your voice in that transmission, I felt as if the stars themselves had changed course." Aiden took her ha.